Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast, Finding Your Flow. I'm so excited to have you here. So, I want to welcome you to our new season of this transformational podcast, and it's called My Intuition Made Me Do It. I'm your host, Jennifer Jane Young, and I'm here to ignite inspiration within you. I'm the author of Say Yes to Your Yes, How to Trust Your Gut and Take the Leap, and the visionary behind the School of Intuitive Leadership. I've dedicated my life to empowering individuals to trust their intuition and lead their lives from that powerful inner wisdom. Through my work as an international speaker and intuitive leadership advisor, I've witnessed the transformative power of following one's intuition firsthand with entrepreneurs and organizations around the world. This season, we're diving deep into the stories of people who dare to listen to their inner voice and take the leap. Join us as we unravel the mysteries of intuition, sharing captivating experiences that will reignite your belief in the incredible guidance within you. Get ready to embark on a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. It's time to embrace the clarity and courage that comes from trusting your intuition. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be inspired into action. Your dreams are waiting. Let's make them a reality together. So, Anne, I'm so happy to have you here on the podcast, and it's just really nice to connect. You're one of my NLVers. We've had a couple of them on the podcast already, and it's just really nice to have this time to reconnect, and also for me to get to know you guys a little bit more through your stories, which has been really wonderful. So I always start the interview with the same question for everybody, because this is the title. Tell us what your intuition made you do.
Oh, Lordy. So when I was considering doing this interview, I was really focused on you and my conversation at NLV regarding the choices that we make and following on our instincts, of course. So the biggest thing I had done in my life that was completely intuition driven was succumbing to the circumstances of how I ended up separating from military service. While I was in the United States Coast Guard, and actually recovering from trauma, even though my external space was refusing to acknowledge that trauma, and my internal space was screaming that I needed to change my life. Um, so yeah, there's been a lot of contemplation about sharing these types of stories, and you're the best platform to do it in, right?
Thank you. Thank you. This is 100% a safe space. And I actually really love this conversation that we're going to have, because essentially what I'm hearing is like your intuition made you choose to heal. And I know my intuition has led me to do that many times over in many different ways, sometimes even just by placing me in a scenario that was really challenging, and that forced me into healing in a sense, and in the best way possible. Um, so how, like, when you started to get this intuitive feeling to separate yourself from what did you say, the Coast Guard, the United States Coast Guard? Yeah.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
And start that healing journey, you were feeling it, like you were saying, it was screaming from you inside. Like, what did those initial intuitive nudges feel like, or hear, or like sound like, or hear to you? Do you remember kind of how that began, how those nudges began?
I don't think anybody ever forgets. So
Right.
when you're going through this kind of experience, there's a lot of anxiety, and
Mhm.
our interpretations of what our emotions are telling us. Anxiety is normally a trigger of something's wrong, rather than, okay, you're doing something right. It's just different. And the
Right.
fact that you're not experiencing this different in a way that is familiar to you, it starts to feel like panic and stress. So when I was actually going through this experience and transitioning into a whole new life circumstance that I'd never considered before or even stopped to fathom, anything and everything I did that was not a direct instruction
Mm-hmm.
um, was always associated with some type of anxiety, whether I did anything to trigger it or not. So
Mm,
if universal timing was stepping in, I was also having to deal with this stage of anxiety that was um, just overwhelmingly filling my entire body and radiating out. And of course, everyone externally is observing what I'm going through and acknowledging what's happening to me while I'm pretending that I'm still the same individual that was present the entire time, which
right,
obviously isn't true.
right. Oh, I love what you said about the anxiety piece. And I think this is something that so many people experience. As soon as we start feeling not great, whether it's anxiety or stress or depression or whatever, we immediately think that something is severely wrong or that we're broken or that like something needs to be fixed in that moment. And you're right, it's really is just about like it's where we're stepping into something new, into the unknown, and that is uncomfortable because we don't know where we're stepping. It's kind of like the way I envision it is if you'd be walking through a completely dark space, you can't see in front of you. Like the only thing you can do is just take one step at a time, right? If you try to rush through and run through that dark space, you'll probably trip and fall or hit a wall or something like that, you know? So when we're stepping into the unknown, um, it is scary because we don't know where we're stepping and we don't know who we're becoming and we don't know what experiences are ahead of us. And even more so with healing. And my second book that I'm writing is actually all about healing because I really believe that when we heal, we open up so much potential in our life to experience beautiful things and to hear our intuition. But it's really hard to do the healing work, right? Like it's hard to go deep down inside of ourselves and see and feel what's actually going on. So I'm curious if you want to share a little bit about like how that journey was of like turning inwards and going deep within yourself as you embarked on the healing.
Absolutely. So when I did join the service, it was a whim of depression and financial depression, not so much my life experience type of depression. And my father was a chief in the Navy as well. And by the time I had gotten to that point, I was finishing my junior college experience and barely getting by because nobody could keep anybody um, for student employment at that time. And I was in my very early 20s. I just turned 20. So I had called my dad and I said, "Hey, Dad, is it time yet? You always said join the service as a last resort. So what do you think?" He's like, "Okay, go ahead."
Hoping for a different
So,
answer.
yeah. So I started a whole new adventure, joining the military service and becoming a marine science technician because my college degree was focused on being a marine biologist. And I had a very successful start in my career.